My name is George Plimpton. As a writer, I've faced many extraordinary challenges, but few have been as demanding as my stint as goalie for the Boston Bruins. It gave me a true appreciation of the grueling nature of ice hockey. This winter, I talked at length with one of hockey's greatest stars, a man who entered hockey as the game's most heralded newcomer and whose career far exceeded even those high expectations. A man who revolutionized hockey by leading his team's offense while running the defense as well. His name is Bobby Orr.
Check. I think he just cut him off balance. Here's Orr. Shot scored! Bobby Orr, his first goal of the year. It's 4-2 Chicago.
In October of 1978, Bobby Orr was only 30 years old, but 6 knee operations had robbed him of much of his former greatness. He scored only one more goal after this one, and a month later, in a tearful press conference, Bobby said openly what many people already suspected. His knees could no longer stand the strain of playing hockey for a living.
Very happy.
So Bobby Orr retired.
To play again. I now know for sure that my leg cannot handle playing. If I had to do it all over again, I know I would do it the same way. I'm disappointed, but I am relieved. I would not want to go through the rest of my life thinking, well, maybe there was that chance. I now know I'm no longer able to play.
But when he was able, oh, how he could play. The Bruins' number 4 played 9 complete years in the NHL. And in that time, he brought the Bruins from the cellar, the players from the poorhouse, and the puck up past the blue line time and time again. But that's the end of the story. Let's go back to the beginning. Orr, wearing number 2 here, grew up in Parry Sound, Ontario, 150 miles north of Toronto. And by the time he was 12, his amazing ability was spotted by professional scouts. One of those scouts, Hall of Famer Lynn Patrick, insisted that Orr could have played for the Boston Bruins as a 12-year-old. He was that far advanced. Bobby was the most outstanding junior player in the history of the game, and the most heralded. Bruin fans anxiously awaited his arrival in the big time, when their messiah would lead them out of their accustomed home in the NHL cellar. Rules required him to wait until he was 18 to play pro. So Bobby played junior hockey at least 2 years longer than he needed to. He averaged 35 goals a season in those years while playing defense.
Our 2 guests tonight, our first 2 guests, are a couple of gentlemen who played a little bit of minor hockey, and now they're in Junior A. You've read a great deal about them if you haven't seen them. Bobby Orr is with Oshawa on my immediate left, Wayne Carlton with the Marlboros on Mike Farland. Now, what about style of play, Bobby? Have you tried to pattern yourself after anyone particular in the National Hockey League?
Well, I like to follow. I play defense myself, and I like to watch all the defensemen. I like to watch Tim Horton for Toronto, and I really think a lot of Terry Harper in Montreal.
Now, why did you decide to choose Boston?
Well, I think that Boston is building their team now, and I'd just like to be a part of their building.
Mm-hmm. What sort of inducements did the Boston Bruin organization offer to get you into their clutches?
They agreed to stuck with my parents' home. This is in '66. They stuck with my parents' home. I think I received a check of $1,000 or $1,200. and a $200 a year clothing allowance.
$200 clothing.
And we were also paid. We were paid $10 a week, and they took care of our room and board, tuition, school, and so on. And they gave us $10 a week for spending money.
Does that first game of yours in the NHL come back as like yesterday?
We were playing Detroit Red Wings, and again they had Mr. Howe playing, and I can still remember one play. I threw my pass out, and as I went by, I was watching my pretty pass, and someone came across. I didn't know who it was right away, but it was Mr. Howe, and I think he was trying to let me know that the old fellow was still around. But he hit me. Oh, he hit me a good one. I saw birds for a while.
The team wasn't very good in those days, was it, the Bruins?
Well, the year before I got to Boston, Boston and New York used to fight for the Eastern Starboard Championship, 5th and 6th place. The year before I got there, the Bruins ended in 5th place, and after my first year, the Bruins ended in 6th place. So
You really helped them out.
Actually, Bobby Orr took the NHL by storm. As a rookie, he employed a lawyer to negotiate his contract, an unheard of affront to management, but the Bruins agreed to terms. And the pay structure in the NHL has never been the same since. Bobby's play was even more noteworthy. The 18-year-old was a second-team All-Star as a rookie. Harry Howell won the Norris Trophy that year as the league's best defenseman. And he said, "I'm glad I won it now because it's going to belong to Orr from now on." And while Bobby had to settle for the Rookie of the Year award that season, he went on to win the Norris Trophy the next 8 years in a row. Another hockey first. Still, it was obvious that Bobby would need some help for the Bruins to improve on their dismal record. They needed some beef and some scoring ability on the front line. And they got exactly that when they picked up Phil Esposito in a trade. The Bruins were finally on their way back toward the top of the standings, with Orr manning the point and Esposito doing the bulk of the scoring. Boston fans finally had something to cheer about.
Hold on there now, Bobby.
Need a little help, George? No, George, I know you do.
Very low and very slow.
Very slow. I know you do a lot of movies.
What's
You're
that?
a handsome guy. I know you do a lot of movies, and you're a handsome guy. Are you sure you don't want a mask?
Well, there are no masks in Southern California.
All right. Now, you've been
So
to the
right
Bruins.
there, right, very low, okay?
Been to the Bruins camp.
All right.
Seen them do some drills.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to do a little drill here. This is a warm-up drill.
Okay, here we
Mr.
go.
Cheevers taught you. Are you set? No.
That's the most embarrassing thing I've ever gone through. 4 out of 4. Let's do that again. You can't get 4 in a row again. All right, I'm ready. I'll just practice.
Be ready.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not looking behind me.
There's 2 of them. I shot 2 for you.
Bobby Orr's development continued. In his 3rd season, he scored more goals than any defenseman in NHL history. And 2 knee operations didn't prevent him from playing 37 minutes a game and handling the puck much of that time. He ran the Bruins on both ends of the ice, and suddenly they were one of the best teams in hockey. In the 1969-70 season, Bobby had 87 assists, more than any player in the history of the game, and twice as many as any defenseman had ever gotten in a season. Bobby made incredible passes regularly, even when flat on his back. In addition, Bobby scored 33 goals, 12 more than the prior record for defensemen, held by Bobby Orr. In that season, Orr led the league in scoring with 120 points scored, the second most in hockey history, again as a defenseman. Many people assumed that such a prodigious scorer couldn't be playing any defense. But as one opposing coach said, it's pretty hard to score when he's got the puck all the time. The statistics backed up that logic. The Bruins allowed twice as many goals with Orr on the bench. Bobby's amazing offense did not interfere with his defensive play.
The style I played, drove coaches crazy, The group I played with in Boston knew how I played, so they knew once I started carrying the puck, there's a very good chance that I was going to try to go down the ice or not play defense the way it should be played. So they would cover for me. So that's very important.
I see. People would back you up.
Communication, and they knew how I played. So many nights they covered up on me, for me.
Yeah. 1970 was when the whole team came together, wasn't it?
Our team started to gel, as I said earlier, when Esposito and Hodge and Sanderson came along. But, the year before, 68-69 season, we had a great series with Montreal, and we really had a chance to beat them. And they beat us in 2 overtime games, 2 beat us. So we were happy with the club. The club was coming along, and then in 70 we started off with New York, and we beat them 4-2. A tough series, and although we beat Chicago 4-0 in 1970, but that was the toughest series of the 3.
And after Chicago came the finals with St. Louis.
Because we played St. Louis in the finals, and at that St. Louis was an expansion team, so I think we felt confident we can beat them, but we also knew that they had a pretty good hockey team, and we had to be very careful and play our best.
The 1970 Stanley Cup Finals matched the Bruins with the St. Louis Blues. But with Orr at the peak of his game, it was more of a mismatch. There was an oft-repeated scenario for viewers of that series that many times resulted in Boston goals. And regardless of where your loyalties were placed, the tendency was to admire greatness. The scene began with the puck behind the Bruin net, and number 4 took it from there, stick handling out of potential danger and wreaking havoc with the Blues defense. In addition, Orr spearheaded a Boston defense that allowed only 4 goals in the first 3 games of the series, all Bruin victories. Game 4 was tied 3-3, with only seconds to play, when that scenario unfolded once more. Bobby Orr up ice, through the defense, this time around the net. But when he failed to score, the game went into sudden death overtime. If the Blues scored first, they'd win the game. If the Bruins scored first, they'd win the Stanley Cup.
Carlton goes for it with Ecclestone back checking. Out front, cleared by Talbot, but kept in. Ari's shot is blocked by Talbot. Sanderson's drive is wide. Ecclestone the rebound, but it's kept in by the Bruins. Ari to Westfall. Sanderson's drive again is wide. Kept in by Orr. Orr feeds Sanderson behind the net. Back to Orr. He scores!
Aside from winning the Stanley Cup and sending him triumphantly through the air, Bobby's goal capped one of the greatest seasons ever for a professional athlete. Bobby won the Norris Trophy as the NHL's best defenseman. He won the Art Ross Trophy as the league's top scorer. He won the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs, and he was named Sportsman of the Year. One other thing happened to Bobby Orr during the 1969-70 season. He turned 21 years old. The 1972 Stanley Cup Finals were among the best played in hockey history. A hard-hitting, evenly matched duel between the Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers. But the Bruins had the edge, and he wore number 4. Bobby Orr scored more points in the 1972 playoffs than any player in hockey history. And whether he was sliding into the boards or spinning around a defenseman, he was in total control of the hockey game. The Bruins won 3 of the first 4 games, but Bobby Russo scored twice in game number 5 to send the series back to New York for a 6th contest. The Rangers had proven almost unbeatable in Madison Square Garden, so the Bruins had their work cut out for them.
Espy takes it behind the net, gives it off to Busick in the near corner, back behind the net to Hodge, out in front. Orr keeps it in at the blue line. Orr moves away from McGregor with a beautiful move. Shot, score! So the Bruins go out in front, 1-0 in this one.
Bobby's goal gave the Bruins an edge that lasted through a scoreless second period. If period in which Bobby got a rare misconduct penalty for saying something ungracious to referee Art Skov. After all returned, however, he characteristically took control of the game.
They're still with it, moving in, quick shot for a screen, score! Babior makes it 2-0 Boston.
By the end of the third period, it was 3-0.
Babior, 2 seconds, 1 second, it's over! The Bruins have won the Stanley Cup! And the Bruins mobbed their goaltender, Jerry Cheevers. The fans are out onto the ice. The Rangers are congratulating their goaltender. The 1972 hockey season has ended with the Stanley Cup returning to Boston. Johnny Busick will take the Stanley Cup with a ceremonial skate around the Madison Square Garden.
I suppose as a most valuable player that you begin to get to be a marked man, don't you?
Not really. You know, being a defenseman, it's difficult to shadow a defenseman.
How about intimidation? Fights, for an example. Headhunters after you.
Well, it's a contact game, and I like to carry the puck. And if you're going to handle the puck a lot, you're going to get hit a lot. And you've got to expect that.
It is a violent sport.
It's a tough sport. It's a contact game, 60 minutes with great speeds, pucks, sticks, and contact is part of that game.
Hockey isn't really a contact sport, it's a collision sport. Sometimes the collisions lead to further violence. Players drop their gloves and they go at it. The Bruins of the 1970s were always one of the toughest teams in hockey. Sports writers wrote, the Bruins are coming to town. They'll rob all the banks and they'll body check all your daughters. While the Bostonians perennially led the league in penalties, it was a rare fracas that involved number 4. Most of his lumps came in the course of play, but he wasn't always happy about it.
I don't believe the contact should be taken out of the game. I mean, I believe contact, it's a contact game, and checking is angling a player out of the play, getting in his way. If you check a player, it doesn't mean you have to knock him down or hurt him or put him over the boards or anything like that. Checking is getting in the player's way.
Well, now, the Philadelphia Flyers then came along with an entirely different style of play, didn't they? Began to win cups.
They were very aggressive.
Aggressive, tough.
They beat us the following year. They had a plan.
The Flyers' plan was to check the Bruins tightly in their own end to try and prevent Orr from making spectacular plays like this one. It didn't always work, but it was the most effective means yet developed to keep the puck away from Orr and stifle the Boston attack. The Bruins scored only 2 goals a game. At the other end of the ice, the Flyers relied on hard work and sheer intimidation, digging the puck out of the corners to set up the good shot. The Flyers had a 3-2 lead in the series, and they led the 6th game 1-0 with time running out, when Orr let loose a blistering shot from the right side which beat Bernie Parent, only to hit the far post. Bobby Clarke had a breakaway for the Flyers, and in the course of breaking it up, Orr was called for a penalty, and that ended the Bruins' chances. The final score, Philadelphia 1, Boston 0. A considerably happier experience for Bobby involved the 1976 Canada Cup, an international competition between 6 countries held throughout Canada. It was the first time Bobby had been able to represent his country internationally, and while 5 knee operations had reduced his mobility, Mr. Orr still played well, tallying 2 goals and 7 assists while leading Canada to victory.
It must have been very hard leaving the Bruins for the Blackhawks in '76, leave all your teammates.
After 10 years in a city that as great as Boston, it was a very difficult thing to do. I had contract problems. The Bruins were nervous of my knee.
At the end of the 1975-76 season, Bobby was a free agent. The Chicago Blackhawks signed him to a 5-year contract for $3 million. But after only 26 games as a Blackhawk, Bobby's left knee forced him to retire. A month later, the Boston Bruins had Bobby Orr night. One last chance for the fans of Boston to show their appreciation. Played only 9 complete pro seasons, but his influence on hockey will never be forgotten. Amongst his achievements, Rookie of the Year, 8 times first-team All-Star, 8 times Best Defenseman, 3 times Most Valuable Player, all-time highest-scoring defenseman, twice Stanley Cup Playoff Most Valuable Player, twice regular season leading scorer, 9 times leading scorer among defensemen, 2 Stanley Cup winning goals. Bobby Orr, one of hockey's greatest players.